and welcome to the Mended Drum. This is the Countdown, the show in which we count down 5 weird, factual, or notable things from history and pop culture. This week, 5 terrible villains from the Masters of the Universe series, the original one, from the 80s. Obviously, this list is entirely subjective, but I've tried to make a strong case for each of the people I've picked. Before we get into it though, if you like pop culture, geekery, sci-fi, fantasy, please click the subscribe button, like and share the video, and if you really love receiving notifications on your phone, you can ring the bell as well. Alright, let's get into it.
Number 5. Count Marzo. Count Marzo is quite different from most of the characters on Masters of the Universe, in that he was created specifically for the cartoon, and did not come from the accompanying toy range. An evil sorcerer with a monstrous sidekick named Chimera, Marzo has allegedly been around since the days of Prince Adam's grandfather, and derives his power from a magical amulet. Though it gives him great speed and strength and lets him even cast red firebolts, Marzo uses the amulet in the original series exclusively for the purposes of either kidnapping small children or turning adults into small children. Given how he dresses, we probably should have seen that coming. Not enough? Wait till you hear what Marzo sounds like.
And they can't help my nephew if they can't find him.
Number 4. Spyko. Spyko is a slow-witted lackey whose body and head are covered in large purple spikes. Yes, spikes. We're told they're made of metal, not rubber, something he's said to use as a vicious weapon, an act that presumably involves him thrusting himself against his victim. Are we sure they aren't rubber?
Seeker says game piece is there. There it is. Now to climb mountain and...
Now you fall!
Initially portrayed as having a trident for a left hand, Spyko changed to having 2 hands, either because Mattel liked saving money by flipping cartoon cells, or because Spyko himself found he was struggling to hold his knife at dinner time. Number 3. Jitsu. Jitsu is another character whose one massive hand was a curse for the budget-conscious cell-flipping animators. Known as the evil master of martial arts, Jitsu was widely seen as a rival to the heroic character Fisto, who also had a giant fist. Are we totally sure Spyko's suit isn't rubber? By the time his toy was released, Jitsu's hand was made of metal, but in the cartoon it's just a large, cumbersome appendage that he uses to chop things. It was, however, his only personality trait, so much so that his initial proposed name was Chopper. Promotional material by Mattel throughout the 1980s often depicts Jitsu riding atop Night Stalker, which is an evil horse and not Count Marzo's nickname. In the end, Jitsu, whose name was now taken from the martial art Jiu-Jitsu, made almost no appearances, as even studio executives from the 80s realized he was basically nothing but a series of racial stereotypes.
Yeah, you are trapped as sorceress in the Dragon Pearl.
Number 2. Too Bad.
Bet you don't make it.
I won't bet you anymore. You don't pay when you lose. Lucky you didn't bet.
Too Bad is a character so bungling he can't even agree with himself. Initially imagined as being half good and half bad, this idea was canned because Mattel's marketing division was unable to sell a figure that was packaged as being both good and evil. In the end, he was played out as a comical character whose heads argue endlessly with one another, much to the frustration of Skeletor's other hardly competent allies. The question of how they came to be 2 heads in one body is only answered in the 2002 series, where 2 bounty hunters named Tuvar and Budra are fused together by Skeletor with magic for being as cringeworthy as this joke by Beastman.
Now we can call you Pale Faces.
Number 1. Plunder. It took just 19 episodes of Masters of the Universe for writer Paul Dini and director Steve Clark to totally lose the plot. In that episode, Quest for He-Man, not only did the two create a bird lady with mammalian breasts, but to add to that carnage, a purple rabbit named Plunder, who was determined to destroy, or shall we say, plunder his own planet in the quest for wealth. Paul Dini claims that Plunder was inspired by Simpsons creator Matt Groening's Binky the Rabbit from the Life in Hell comic strip, which is sort of like saying a chimpanzee smearing its feces on a canvas is inspired by the Mona Lisa. While Plunder is not totally incapable like many of the other bad guys on this list, he was after all able to build an interstellar corporation and distill the life on his planet into a liquid. He is undoubtedly the series' worst villain, if only because he looks like what would happen if Barney the dinosaur seduced Thumper from Bambi. Greedy and obnoxious, he's last seen working in a chain gang to tear down his own factory in a paradise that He-Man has allegedly remade. A paradise with slavery-based chain gangs.
You destroy a whole world just for wealth and treasures?
I'd do anything for that.
You know, it's only when you start re-watching these old shows that you realize just how many terrible villains there really were in them. But to be fair to the series creators, they were targeting children, which means that their villains had to be interesting without being scary, and I think in that they succeeded. The fact that we got a truly classic villain like Skeletor out of all of it shows just how good they actually were at their jobs. Anyway, if you love He-Man and series like that, please, again, click like, subscribe, and share this video wherever you possibly can, because I'd really appreciate it.